Hello and welcome to Real Menopause Talk. It's so good to have you here, and I want to thank each and every one of you for your continued support and feedback. And if you're new to the show, a very warm welcome. From your feedback, the most common symptoms, especially in perimenopause, seem to be the mental and psychological. I know I've certainly been there. The anxiety, the loss of confidence, sometimes a deep feeling of just wanting to cry all the time. There's so much more to say on this, so I'll be sharing more of my own experience along the way. One thing that has helped me, and so many others, is therapy. Many of them women who I've interviewed for the pod. Just talking to someone who gets it makes the world of difference, which is why I have just launched Real Menopause Therapy, a convenient and easy way to find support. You choose your therapist based on their skills, i.e. menopause, and your environment. Perhaps you work in a law firm and maybe they used to too, so they understand the pressures in the environment in which you work. And they also can be chosen on their interest matching with yours. Enjoy boxing? I bet there's a therapist who does too. For these early days, subscription is free, and you can even talk to your chosen person for free for half an hour just to see if you click. And if you don't, then you can try someone else, also for free, until you find the one. For now, the fastest access is bit.ly/RM therapy, bit.ly/R M and then therapy, also with a capital T. I hope that's clear. I'll put the details in the show notes. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest, Michelle Baines. Michelle came to me and asked to tell her story and share her experience of perimenopause because she was really suffering. And this is how and why Real Menopause Talk began in the first place. It was to share our experiences and insights so that others can relate and no one need feel alone. So many of us arrive at this life phase having no clue as to what is happening to us. So for this episode, we go back to our original roots, which highlight the importance of education of ourselves, of our doctors, and the generations coming up behind us. And if there is one message here, and I really enjoy this, it is be more brave. Hi, Michelle. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm okay. Getting there, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I've just come off the back of a 3-day emotional meltdown of crying nonstop for 3 days. So I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to do this with you today, but I have been able to. So it's good that I can.
Well, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. So to begin with then, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, so I'm a mum, a single mum on my own, working drugs and alcohol and mental illness. Well, I used to until the menopause hit me. Yeah, I love traveling. Well, I used to love these, all things that I used to love doing, you know, food, language, culture, all of that sort of stuff. Very sort of outgoing and loved being around people. That was kind of my vibe, really.
And how old are your kids?
So I have 5.
Oh my goodness.
I know. 27, 25, 16, 10 and 8. And I have a grandson as well who is 2.
Oh, amazing. And that sounds incredibly busy, although I'm hoping the 27 and 25-year-olds and even the 16-year-old can look after themselves a little bit.
Yes, a little bit.
Yeah. You've obviously had an amazing job, and working in drugs and mental health, that's a big deal and clearly required you to be quite a brilliant people person. Where are you now in terms of perimenopause or menopause? And go as far back as you wish to bring us to where you are now and how it's all developed for you.
Okay, so if you ask my children, they would say that this started back in January last year, January 22. That's when my children would say to you that they'd started noticing a change in me. Me, maybe not quite so much. I was waking up in the night, with palpitations and anxiety, but I just put it down to like work and stress with the kids and all the rest of it. I didn't really think anything of it. I've suffered before, with anxiety issues and that, and I just thought it was just something similar to that. Anyway, I just sort of plodded on, and we went away at the end of March on holiday. And my usual cycle is that I will work really hard. We go away on holiday, come back, and I'm feeling fantastic. Well, we went away at the end of March, beginning of April, and then I wasn't quite right still. I was very anxious and just not feeling how I normally should feel. And I don't know. I thought maybe it was because it was a new place that we went to and I didn't like the location. And I just thought, it's a crappy holiday. I didn't like the location. I didn't really think anything more of it. And then when I got back, started getting other sorts of symptoms. The anxiety and the depression was getting worse, the sleeplessness, and I was getting headaches as well, like really bad headaches and extreme, like sinus problems and stuff, like extreme hay fever is the best way to describe it, and a few stomach issues. And still didn't have a clue what was happening to me. I just thought, do you know what? Maybe the hay fever's really bad this year and the hay fever's causing the headaches. Just trying to sort of justify it.
Yeah.
And just kind of trying to plod on. Aches and pains as well I was getting. Anyway, again, we usually go away every summer. So my summer holiday was booked. Got on the aeroplane, had a panic attack on the aeroplane, which is not like me at all. And we arrived for our summer holiday. And normally, even if I'm feeling a bit offish, within 3 or 4 days of being there, I feel like a brand new woman. And again, nothing. And this is somewhere that we go every single year as well. So it wasn't somewhere unfamiliar or that I didn't like. It was where I normally go. And also as well, when I was there, the allergy symptoms that I have, the hay fever, because it's an arid, dry place, normally I don't have any sort of allergy symptoms at all when I arrive. And they were just persistent throughout the whole holiday. And I was anxious about everything, in a place where I'm usually so calm. And the headaches were bad. And then I was getting sort of stomach issues still and all the rest of it. And I just still couldn't put my finger on what was going on. And then I got back and I went back to work. And in September, I went to work on a Friday morning, got there, and I couldn't go in. I just couldn't go in through the door at all. So I sat in my car and I was crying for 3 hours, just sat in the car park crying for 3 hours. And I just wanted to die. And that's the only way I can describe it as being. I just couldn't see a way out of this at all. And that was my last day at work.
So how did that become your last day at work? First of all, I'm so sorry to hear this. It sounds horrendous. But tell us what happened next. How did that become your last day?
So I just couldn't go in. Do you know what I mean? Like the depression, the anxiety, all the other symptoms. I thought I was dying of a brain tumor. The headaches were just, so bad. I can't even explain the pain that my body was going through. And then I started with stomach issues as well, where I couldn't eat anything. So now I have to take a medication for that as well. Really, really bad sort of stomach problems. And I just couldn't go in. And I rang my daughter and I said to my daughter, Shannon, I just want to die. I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like all my usual coping strategies, everything that normally pulls me back, just wasn't working. Anyway, luckily, my daughter works with a lot of older ladies, and they'd been talking to her about the menopause. And she came home to me and she went, Mum, she said, I think it's the menopause. And I was like, all right, okay. And then she directed me to Davina's program. So I sat and watched Davina's program, and just everything started to make sense. It was like a light bulb moment. And a relief as well to actually finally know what was wrong with me and that I wasn't dying, because that's how I felt. You know what I mean? So I called the GP and got started on HRT.
How easy was that?
I rang one GP and she was very resistant to give me anything. She said to me, "You're too young for the menopause," and she ordered the blood test. test, and she said, no, you're not in the menopause. We're not giving you the with HRT. But obviously I'd seen from Davina's program that, the blood tests are not always accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So I left it a week, and then I called back again. And luckily, I ended up with a male doctor, and I think he was a bit inexperienced. So I think I kind of bullied my HRT out of him, if I'm being honest with you. I don't think he really wanted to say no to me. So he actually gave in and gave me the patches, which was really good. So I put on the patches, and within 4 days, I started to notice some improvement, which was like a miracle. I sort of no longer wanted to die, so that was good.
Yes.
I've been trying to stick with the patches, but I found that they're not quite doing it for me. So I am changing this week onto the gel and the Eutrogestrone.
Great.
So I'm gonna give that a shot and see how that works, because I want to get back to work. I want to get back to normal. I feel like I have lost my whole identity, my whole self. Like I don't even know who I am anymore. This has taken away everything from me. I've literally lost my whole life. That's the only way I can describe it.
Michelle, you said that the doctor originally, the first GP, said that you were too young. How old are you?
I'm 45.
Which is a very frustrating answer, because you're right in the zone for averages. And I know no person is average, but 45, it's not like you're 20 and therefore extremely unusual. I hope that with all the training that the GPs are getting in the future, that it's more widely recognised and faster. Is your GP being supportive of changes? Because quite often this does happen, that you start with one form of HRT and then maybe the effects aren't quite what you'd wished, or it loses its effect. So have they made it easy for you this time to change and try something else?
Again, I stuck with the same doctor. So I just went in and bullied what I wanted out of him again. I just get right, because I've joined like support groups and stuff, and been talking with other women about what works for them and what's good and what's not and all the rest of it. So I said to her, so I want the Eutrogestrone and I want the gel. And I don't think he had a clue about dosage or anything, because he wouldn't give me a prescription there and then. He just said, I'll send it to the chemist on Monday. Do you know what I mean? So he obviously had to go away and sort of research what he was going to give me.
Well, at least he is doing that.
But,
if he doesn't have the knowledge.
But I thought to myself, I am grateful that, he did allow me to ask for what I want, and he is giving me what I want, and he's being supportive in a way of like, helping me to get the right balance of, of what's going to work for me. So I am grateful for that.
Going back to your feeling that it's taken everything away from you, and certainly loss of identity feels like a tremendously common thread. I know I felt that myself, and I've read in books of other women's stories. Many of the women I've interviewed, we've all kind of lost the sense of who we are. Partly, if we've had families, through the caring that we've done for them and bringing children up, whether it's on our own or with somebody or a combination of the two. And then suddenly you're feeling so different and so out of sorts that you don't really know who you is anymore. And when work is stripped away, that's the big one. So without your work, many of us feel completely lost and don't know who we are anymore. How are you getting that back?
To be honest with you, I'm still trying to find my way. I think a change of career is definitely needed. And I think I need to be more brave and do things that I wanted to do for years that I've not done. Once I get stable, that's what I want to focus on doing, is just change. I need to change my whole life needs to change now. I can't go back to killing myself with work and running around after everybody, doing everything all the time, because my body's not going to let me do that anymore. So I need to find a new balance, a new way to be, basically.
I think that sounds exactly right. And is, again, for so many of us, we finally tune in to what our bodies are telling us once we know what's going on and can understand it. And killing ourselves every day with work and working every hour that God sends, whether it's either the financial work or the caring for other people, it just doesn't work for us forever. And that's a good thing. It feels like this is absolutely the right time of life. Do you have any idea how you're going to do that?
I've been looking at different options. I definitely would like to go into some sort of menopause support work, I think, helping women, because for me, I was so unknowledgeable. I thought that menopause was a few hot flushes and your period stopping.
Mm-hmm.
That's how dumb I was. Do you know what I mean? Like that's how little I knew about the menopause, that I thought that.
Don't do yourself down. The
Yeah,
vast majority, I think maybe there are a couple of doctors that I've interviewed and certainly friends that I've spoken to, clueless
yeah,
about this stage of life.
absolutely.
So don't do yourself down. And yes,
Yeah.
none
And
of
I
us
think
want anyone
I
else to
think
experience it.
no, and I think, well, as education as well is very important for younger people.
Yes.
Um, because if I'm being really honest with you, if I knew that this was going to be my life, I would not have had children so later on in life either. Because dealing with the menopause and having young children, it just amplifies it even more. And I don't feel like I can be the parent right now that I need to be for those children. They're suffering as much as me in many aspects. So I think education really needs to be put out there, and, definitely.
I agree. And do you know what? From an outsider's point of view, I know it feels very different on the inside, but from an outsider's point of view, it sounds like you're doing a great job as a mum. The fact that one of your daughters came to you and suggested that it was menopause, and now you're determined to pull yourself out of this, that is a great role model for your younger kids. And I bet they're proud of everything that you're doing at the moment. It just feels very different when you're in the eye of the storm.
Yeah, I do feel that the suffering. I mean, the younger ones will come to, like if I'm having a bad day or I'm a bit angry or a bit emotional. Mum, I don't think that patch is working. Have you got your patch on? Do you know what I mean?
Or at least they know about it. I think that's fantastic. That's a step in the right direction. So they'll have compassion towards their friends and maybe partners who are going through the same thing in the future. I think that's a very positive sign. What happened yesterday then, or for the last few days, that have made you so miserable?
Do you know what? I don't know. And this is another thing that I get quite a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
It's just crying for no reason or feeling sorry for myself. I mean, I walked into the school playground yesterday to pick up the little one in tears. Couldn't stop crying.
Oh, Michelle, I'm so sorry. But you know
Yeah.
what? It will pass. And the very fact that you are talking to your GP and changing and trying new versions of the HRT should help enormously. Have you made any other lifestyle changes, sort of diet or exercise or anything like that?
So I've had to make, because of the stomach issues, I have to follow a very strict diet now.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really eat very much, if I'm being honest with you. So gluten free,
Mm-hmm.
sugar free, try to be meat free as well. So basically, I'm just living off potatoes, vegetables, rice, and yeah, that's about it really.
Do you eat fish or eggs or tofu or
No, I do
tempeh?
have eggs, so I make
Okay,
omelets. I
great.
do make
That's good.
omelets. And I do eat some meat sometimes, but I just find that if I overdo it with the meat or the fish,
Mm-hmm.
that it just triggers the stomach, and the cheese as well is the same. So I just have to have small amounts of those things. I can't be eating them like a lot every day.
Well, if you're able to pack in eggs, then do. They will sustain your sort of satiety, as it were. So they'll keep you fuller for longer. Because what do you say? Potatoes, rice,
Vegetables,
vegetables.
potatoes, rice, yeah.
Yeah, all good stuff. But something that will be key for balancing your hormones more evenly is the protein and the healthy fats. So the healthy fats will come from things like coconut, avocado, olive oil, olives, eggs
Oh yeah,
again.
I do like my omelets with the olive oil as well. Yeah, I do that.
Good.
I've been I've been taking some supplements as well, because another thing that I'm suffering with is hair loss. That's another
Right.
symptom that I didn't mention before. So I've got a bald patch now at the front of my head,
Oh my goodness.
and my hair's falling out quite a lot. So I do take supplements. So I'm taking omega-3 oils. I'm taking collagen supplement as well, and the magnesium, vitamin D.
Good. All good.
Yeah, all the ones that should be helping me out.
That's great news. And if you are able to stomach any fish or tofu, or black beans are amazing little powerhouses.
Oh,
They've got lots
okay.
of protein in them. Rinse them really well if you get them out of a tin, so that that gets all the starch off them. Same with the dookie beans. Any of the beans have a lot of protein in them as well as carbohydrates. So they're good
Okay,
little
yeah, because
things.
I can tolerate the beans. So
Great.
yeah, I need to get onto them then, don't I?
Yeah, add them in so you've got a sort of more balanced plate in terms of the proteins and the fats. You're doing well on
Yeah,
the carbs. Again, everything's kind of essential for brain health, especially the fats. It just keeps everything working, and the brain is what produces hormones, and the hormones then send the signals to the body to do what it needs to do. So we need to look after our brains. Really, really
yeah.
important. But good for you for committing to changing your diet and helping your digestive system as well. What made you decide to share your experience with everybody?
I just think if I can reach out and help one person, or one person can say, do you know what, that's me, I can relate to that, then I've done my job. Because I think this can be such a lonely time of life if you don't know what's going on. Some women will sit there and beat themselves up because they've lost it, they've had to give up work, or, they're not coping very well with the kids or whatever. And I think we tend to internalize that and
Mm-hmm.
sort of blame ourselves. Whereas I think, the more that women speak out and share their stories, the more that we can realize, that this is what happens to us.
Yeah.
And it's not anything that we've done ourselves or anything like that. It's just how it is. And I think, when you've got that support, you can just have more acceptance around it.
Yes, absolutely. And the more women that understand that it's okay, we put a lot of expectations on ourselves
Mm.
to take care of every aspect of life and tend to put ourselves lower down the list. And now is the time to bump ourselves up so that we can take better care of people when we do need to. So I'm sure that that will reach people and they will relate because it is universal.
In fact, you know what? Everybody that I speak to now will have some sort of knowledge of menopause because that's the first thing. And you know what, as well? I don't even hide it. Before, yeah, I would have been one that would have said, yeah, I'm fine, when I'm really not. And
Yeah.
now I'm not even hiding it. And I'm telling everybody, this is the menopause and everybody needs to know about this. And this is how it makes you feel. And no, I'm really not all right. Do you know what I mean?
So in my little menopause bubble, I think everybody knows everything and we're good. We've kind of job done. And then I step out of the menopause bubble, maybe in the playground, for example, picking up one of my kids. And no, no, there are an awful lot of women. There are hundreds and thousands of women out there who are still oblivious to what might be coming for them. And it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be awful if you know what's happening and know how to take care of it. It's just if it takes you unawares, then and you don't know what's happening, it can be genuinely terrifying.
Definitely. And I'm even talking to men about it as well. Just
Brilliant.
literally everybody, because men need to know as well. Like, men need educating on this because one day the wife or the girlfriend's going to be going through it, or the daughter. So I'm telling them about HR because they'll say, oh, I'll say, I'm not well, but I want HRT. Now, what's HRT? So we have a big conversation about that. Do you know what I mean? I'm just letting everybody know.
And are they receptive?
Yes, they are actually. I've actually been quite surprised at the amount of support that I've had from male friends, if I'm being honest with you, and the willingness to learn about the situation. Definitely. So
That's
it's
terrific.
been a positive experience.
I feel that you need to be in the menopause land and sharing your experience and your knowledge with the world and spreading the word as well. So I very much hope for you that that is on the cards if that's what you wish.
Definitely.
If you had one message to Parliament having spoken to Carolyn Harris and the wonderful Diane Dansbrink, both amazing women, and some of the people who are working in Parliament and with Parliament towards changing policies, what would you say to them?
I'd definitely say we need education. You know how they put in education in high schools about sex education and all that. They need to throw the menopause in there as well. It needs to be part of some sort of curricular education. That's what I think. Through colleges or any sort of learning establishment, please put it as part of the curriculum.
And I know you have a way to go and you're making great progress. But if you can find a silver lining, I find often with crises or with challenges generally, and certainly perimenopause, there are life lessons or silver linings in there. Have you found any yet?
I think the life lesson that I've learned is don't take anything for granted. Nothing is forever. Your life can change in a minute, and you need to just go for it and be more brave.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I really appreciate your time and your energy and effort, particularly given that you've had a crappy few days. And I really hope you're through all of that. And good luck with next week with the gel and the estrogen. I hope that is a real success for you.
Thank you very much. That's wonderful.
Lovely. Take care, Michelle. Bye. Thank you. Bye. Bye. I, for one, will keep Be More Brave as a reminder to myself. And here is another reminder, as you've made it this far through the pod, and life is so full, Real Menopause Therapy is now available, and for a short time, subscription is free. No obligations, you've got enough of those. Your first half an hour conversation with a therapist, in fact, everyone until you find your chosen person, is free. For now, the fastest access is bit.ly, spelt bit.ly, /R, M, therapy with a capital T. So bit.ly /RM therapy. Sign up is super simple and you can just take it from there. Thank you for listening. I look forward to seeing you for the rest of season 5 in the next episode.